Hi, hello everybody. It's Friday, January 13th, 2023. I'm Andy Johnson. Welcome to it. This is AM Prime here on WESN. Let's tell you what's happening in this edition of the program. In the second hour, we'll be talking with Ms. Colleen Curls Joseph. She's a performer of some note, being born and grown up in parts of South Trinidad, St. Madeleine to be exact. You know, that is just outside of Pointe-a-Pierre. Well, she will talk with us about her journey between then when she started and now. It began at a very early age. Also, we're talking entertainment with Mr. Lennox to say he's I suppose he's retired, you could call him that. We will clarify that when he comes on. A producer at Spectacular Promotions. You know, the Spectacular organization had a big tent on Henry Street in Port of Spain, and they toured around Trinidad and Tobago and went further afield, promoting calypso and soca. We will look back at those times, the best of, we would call it, spectacular promotions in the country. We're kicking off the program, moments from now with Mr. Ramon Gregario. He's the president of the Greater Tonopuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. We're talking about the return in our midst of the dreaded COVID virus, what the new variant is, and what has been taking place in the country over the last couple of weeks. Of course, the first press conference to bring us back to some reckoning with it was held yesterday, with the Prime Minister presiding at that, and some issues we're pointing out. We have a coverage of that in the daily news and in the media generally. Well, we will talk through where we are. It says that we want to look at avoiding another lockdown. To what extent that is going to be the case, we will see. Of course, we take you around the region and we take you further afield if that is necessary. All that's coming up and more in this edition of the program. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The best birthday gifts are at dbesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola.
Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
This slide shows the epi weeks on the left. It shows the dates, both at the start and the end of the week, so you know which month we're in. So we're starting essentially at the end of October, start of November. And if we look at the numbers of cases on a weekly basis, we saw those rise from low hundreds, 118, 119, through to 150s. And as we got to end of December into January, we're now seeing 204, 338. So we are seeing increases in those weekly totals. If we look at the last two cells on the right-hand side, the ones that are in red, we notice that from week 50 to 51, or rather 51 to 52, that is from the week that ended on Christmas Eve to the week that ended on New Year's Eve, there was a 38% increase in the weekly total. And then the following week, that first week of January, that completed week was 65% higher than that. So we are seeing a pick-up, an uptick in the speed at which the weekly totals are increasing.
That was the voice there of Dr. Avery Hines. He's the Technical Director in the Ministry of Health for Epidemiology. He was speaking at the news conference called yesterday by the Prime Minister because it appears that this thing is back with us, COVID-19. He's talking about the uptick in the numbers over the last couple of weeks, the weeks ending 2022 and as we begin 2023. So what's going to be the impact of that? Let's just tell you on the front page of the Newsday newspaper today. Coming out of that news conference, the headline is this: don't play with COVID. Government's carnival caution. That was the press conference yesterday. The Prime Minister addressed it, Dr. Roshan Parasram and others. So what's the impact of that? How people, different sectors of the society, getting ready to deal with its return? We're talking about that now with Mr. Ramon Gregario. He's the president of the Greater Chamber, the Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning, Andy, and thank you for having me this morning on your show.
All right, so let's talk about what are the fears and concerns of people like yourself in different parts of the country?
Well, obviously, COVID is here. COVID has always been here, and we have this new variant here among us again. One of the concerns I would say is that, of course, we have a wide, massive movement during the Christmas into Carnival period, and obviously the potential spread of infection is far greater. As we could see from Dr. Hines' presentation yesterday, we're talking about almost a 65% increase just from the first week to the second week of February. So obviously it's a great concern to the business community. A lot of the businesses throughout Trinidad and Tobago, not just in our jurisdiction, Tunapuna and environs, would have more or less eased, would have more or less done away with some of the protocols. But it is something that we keep in our eyes on. It seems that we may have to reintroduce some of the basic protocols when entering stores, when entering business establishments, just to maintain our public health. We're not in the heat of the carnival season just yet. Obviously, over the next few weeks, we have a massive influx of visitors coming from the U.S., where in Northeast U.S., they have quite a strong strain of the COVID-19 that seems to be running rampant. Mixed that with the Carnival Trinidad 2023, mother of all carnivals, and you have a cocktail for a pretty, could be for a pretty disturbing health situation if not kept in check.
All right, so what were you expecting to hear some things from the Prime Minister and the medical team yesterday that you didn't probably hear? And what side that puts you on? You're more cautious, you were anticipating, you were nervous about what might have been announced?
Well, coming out of where we have come out from the past 2 years, I'm not surprised, to be quite honest, of what was stated in the press conference yesterday. I think the government, what I would say is that we have 2 years of experience of dealing with the pandemic. We know the effects, we know the trajectories, we know we can better track, and we should have the ability to better track the path of the pandemic as it comes to our shores. So what I would say is that it's not surprising. I think the government has been placed between a rock and a hard place in terms of having the mother of all carnivals, restarting the economy, jumpstarting the economy, and being able to drive economic activity, but at the same time monitor our precarious healthcare system. So it wasn't a surprise what he would have said. What it does put us in a place of is almost advance notice. We have opportunity now.
We have some challenges with Mr. Gregario's audio there. Let's see what happens. We will just give it a few seconds to see if you come back in. That's not happening. In the meantime, we will take a look at what is happening around the region. We tell you that in Grenada, the broadcasting network there is among local entities targeted by what is called a malicious Facebook campaign. The National Cybersecurity Incident Response Team has issued a warning. Let's take a look at that.
A malicious campaign is currently targeting Grenadian companies, organizations and entities and individuals, including the Grenada Broadcasting Network. The National Cybersecurity Incident Response Team, CSIRT, issued an advisory to the public on Friday, informing of the growing campaign. ICT Officer Jervis Dabrio of the CSIRT team sounded the warning.
The account behind the campaign is Assistance Service FBS, Assistance Service FBS, and the message they're sending out is to the effect that your account has been or will be permanently disabled for violating some terms of service, and they have provided a link for you to click on so you can verify the account and not have it being permanently disabled.
Mr. Dabrio highlighted the tactic being used by the campaign.
Now, based on our assessment of these pages, not only are they phishing, but it is believed that there is malware on that page as well. So anyone receiving the message who has been tagged in their multiple posts, who click on that link and go there, not only do they run the risk of compromising their account, but they may very well find themselves compromising their device as well.
CSIRT has released a lengthy list of Grenadian entities targeted in the malicious Facebook-based campaign. Dabrio reported it to be quite a dynamic list, including media entities, churches, supermarkets, schools, restaurants, and more.
From the Prime Minister's ministry to churches, schools, and individuals, small businesses, and so there are multiple targets in this campaign. From the National CSIRT, we're asking anyone, whether you manage a page for a company or it's your page, if you receive a message saying that your account will be deactivated, please do not click on the link.
If your business has been found on the list, CSIRT says it's important that you do not click on any link received in relation to the disabling or blocking of the page or account without first verifying the authenticity of the message, which it can assist with. The malicious campaign is ongoing.
All right, so let's return to our discussion now with Mr. Ramon Gregario. He's the president of the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce, talking about how we sort of reset again to deal with the rise in cases of COVID-19 in our midst. And say we probably call this a repivoting. I want to ask you, to what extent you all in the business sector may have been tremulous about the possibility that some of these restrictions may have been imposed and the extent to which it is likely that that might happen going forward?
Well, I mean, the reality of the day is that the stage that this particular strain of the COVID-19 is at, of course, warrants some attention. Obviously, as I mentioned before, having had the experience the past 2 years, I think it's really, if we do in fact go down that route and we have to in fact lock down again, which I mean is not something that any of us would envision or any of us would desire. I think public health and concern for public health is paramount. At the end of the day, if we don't have citizens to consume our products, if we don't have persons to access our services, we have no business. And I think protecting the public health and protecting the environment, the citizenry, is more important than business. Obviously, what we will do is have, our hope is that we'll have some sort of phased approach. We'll have some sort of approach where, I mean, a total lockdown is not something that anybody would want or anybody would want to go through again, especially our experiences over the last years. But I believe putting the right signals in place, communicating effectively, of course, instituting the mask mandate if we have to, of course, bringing back all the sanitizing stations at our business places, and then even how our employees work, flexible work hours, restrict movement. So as I said, we have a blueprint of what could go wrong. We have a blueprint of how to act during this particular period. So I think it's early days yet, but it's something we definitely have to keep our eyes on, lest we end back up in a situation that is far worse than what we encountered in 2020.
Right. So we're talking pros and cons. Are there any cons about what transpired? And I don't want to get you involved in the political debate about it, but we had a former minister in the opposite administration saying now that some of the things that were done, some of the measures that were taken were not appropriate. And in fact, he was calling moments ago in the news we just carried, the team led by Dr. Roshan Parashram, he called them incompetent and in some negative terms, as to say that they didn't do what was required of them to do, what the country would have benefited more from. What's your view on that? On the way in which we were led into and out of that phase of it?
Well, I mean, Dr. Parashram and his team have done human service to Trinidad and Tobago in the last 2 years. It'll be I find myself very hard pressed to sit and criticize persons who I can't do what they do, and then B, to question the judgment of professionals and science. What I would agree with some of the opposing and dissenting voices about the government's approach, of course, is the time and the time span that we did in fact know that we had this new variant of COVID-19 in our midst. And not enough would have been communicated or certainly trickled down in the public domain to a large extent. And of course, that may have curtailed and that may have warranted a different type of behavior during the Christmas period. We have been a bit more circumspect. Persons may have been a bit more guarded because obviously during the Christmas period, the absence of, nobody was essentially wearing any masks. Nobody essentially protecting themselves. I observed a number of establishments, people not washing their hands and so on. So that would have been perhaps a little more central, and I agree with the opposition in that regard fully, in that perhaps we should have been communicated to a bit earlier. But having said that, and the stage we're at now, we have information. Having said that, we know the trajectory this thing is on. We know where we are in the middle of Carnival. So I'll be very disappointed if the government doesn't ramp up its communication strategy, its communications campaigns to supplement that information from the press conference yesterday. I often believe that constant, sustained communication alongside those pressers. The pressers are good, but of course there's a particular demographic that will look at the pressers, that will see them. So constant communication, especially in this phase that we are now, and the younger persons are the ones partaking in the carnival. The younger ones are the ones who are going to carry it home to the households for their aunts, for their grandmothers, for their parents, for their children. So I think where we're at now, I can't point fingers and lay blame on any one person. I think the government of the day did its best given the resources that it had, given the information that it had, and given the science that is available to not only Trinidad and Tobago, but to the wider region. So what I would say is that let us continue from this path and continue to communicate, because we could have a lot of challenges. And of course, in the area of social media, a lot of misinformation is circulating around there. And you don't want us to be sucked into that and having to do more work to communicate than we need to.
Yeah, it takes us back to a discussion I heard a scientist at one of the universities in the UK on this matter, and she was saying months ago, at the heights of the rise in the numbers and both in the deaths and the people who are coming down with it across the world, she said that it was unfortunate that against the best will and performance of professionals internationally on this issue, the strength of misinformation was winning the war sometimes, and you see a lot of that, or people just countering what the authorities are saying, and that has created a great difficulty for a lot of people who want to know which side to take, which side to believe, follow the authorities or accept what is being said opposed to what they are proposing.
Correct. And I mean that's the world that we live in. So today it's COVID, tomorrow it's some other national issue. I think the bottom line is we as citizens have to do our own research, yes, but use verifiable peer-reviewed sources. Of course, you can't go on Google and all of a sudden, I mean, everybody in their family and in their household has somebody who goes on Google and has a plethora of information that debunks our learned science. And of course, these are algorithms. So at the end of the day, we have to trust in the science. And I mean, when I say peer-reviewed, look at the international news. Yes, make your own positions, but also be guided by our local authorities. I mean, we have had we have had 4,000 plus COVID cases now, and whether it could have been prevented or whether it could have been worse, I am not here to judge. At the end of the day, I trust in the authorities to make the right decisions by the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and then we have our own personal responsibility to take care of ourselves and our families. And so the blame can't really lay at the government's feet or even at the opposition's feet in opposing, but we have to accept personal responsibility if we have to fight this thing comprehensively.
Yes, and there are, in always, whatever the issues are, there are people who, by their own DNA, by their own orientation, are designed not to accept anything coming from official sources.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And I mean, that is where public education comes into the fray. That is where using different influencer voices, that I always say, let's what we have learned in the past 2 years is that we now have a platform where we have multiple modes of communication and multiple media outlets to be able to express our concerns. What I would say is that government has done that to a certain extent in terms of outreach to different demographics. But then you have those persons who, as you quite rightly said, Amplia, the persons who hell-bent on agenda and conspiracy theories. That is the biggest challenge to any government of the day, to be able to debunk some of those myths and some of those theories. I think it's really about how well you communicate and how well you dissipate your communication strategy.
Yeah, let me just ask you, before we let you take leave of us, do you know, have there been any people or organizations in your membership who would have suffered such sort of curtailment of business that it was hard for them to come back, to get back on the cycle when the restrictions were lifted?
Oh, yes, quite a few. As a matter of fact, a lot of the retail establishments complained about having steady Christmases, but one of the poorer Christmases from a sales revenue perspective over the past few years. What I would say is that a lot of the businesses have rebounded. Obviously, some of the smaller and medium-sized businesses have been more severely affected than some of the larger businesses in our chamber. But having said that, I think what we have had is a very resilient membership, a membership that has buckled down. They have pivoted. They have moved to different lines of business, and this was the necessity to perhaps recreate their brand, recreate their models, and so. Businesses have been affected. They are currently in the midst of trying to put things back together. It was not a typical Christmas season. We are eagerly anticipating and watching the carnival season, what that brings from a sales perspective, and then perhaps we'll be able to put out some more communication to the national audience about how business is going. Of course, just in the Tunapuna area, but in the wider community. Once we have some figures in after the carnival period, but I would say at this stage, it's steady without being spectacular.
All right, I like your phrase there, steady without being spectacular. Mr. Ramon Gregorio, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you very much, Andy, for having me, and all the best to you and your viewers.
Thank you very much. Well, we will take a break. When we come back, we begin to take a look around the region before we get to our second discussion here on the program on this day. Stay with us. This is AM Prime here on WESNC.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers? Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
At Belgroves, celebrating life is our commitment with integrity, compassion, and dignity for your loved ones. Belgroves Funeral Home and Crematorium, serving Trinidad and Tobago for over a century.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time. All right, before we get to our next guest, who is Mr. Lennox Toussaint, we're going to reminisce about so what would be some of the better days and the highlights, the high times of Calypso productions and presentations in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso and Soca, essentially. Before we do that, we take a look at what's happening, something in Barbados, where the security was said to be one of the issues that took center stage when the minister responsible for crime prevention, Corey Lane, toured the capital, Bridgetown, a couple of days ago. Here's a report from the Caribbean Broadcasting Network.
More than 500 surveillance cameras are part of the high-tech security system at the Bridgetown port. This revelation from Minister of State in the Office of the Attorney General with responsibility for crime prevention, Corey Lane, as he toured the facility. He said he was impressed with the infrastructure.
Then here there are no cameras in the port. Then here there are 29 cameras in the port. I come here and see over 500 and something cameras in the port that can do mass detection, color detection, heat detection, motion detection, face recognition, AI.
But it's not just about cameras. The port continues to put mechanisms in place to ensure illegal contraband, including drugs, guns, and ammunition, are seized upon entry.
We have 100% scanning, for instance. We have air coverage of the port and beyond. We have underwater coverage. I think that anybody thinking about doing crime has to think twice when they're thinking about Barbados. And I want Barbadians to be reassured that over the last 3 years that we have really transitioned this port to be one of the #1 ports in the world.
Minister Lane also spoke of government's new initiative to reinforce positive behavior. In this regard, he disclosed that a $1,000 reward will be given to the customs officer responsible for a major gun bust at the Bridgetown port.
37 guns. That is no small feat. And I am saying now that we will be providing a monetary reward and putting it on the record for instances like this. Why? When we do wrong, when we do poor in this country, we are quick to criticize and we are quick to punish. I think we must be equally or more so quick to reward when we have positive results happening.
The initiative is not limited to customs officers.
All right, back inside now. As we continue to display and to talk about the country's continuing activity having to do with crime, with arts and culture, we wanted to have a little discussion now about what used to be a major institution around this time of the year, every year with Carnival in the season. The organization that was known as Spectacular Promotions and Spectacular Productions. One of the persons behind that in a significant way was our guest now, Mr. Lennox Toussaint. Good to see you.
Good morning to you, Andy. How are you doing?
What pretty good.
Sorry?
Pretty good. I imagine it's the same with you. So the situation calls for us to sort of go back in time, as it were, 40 years plus, talking about this movement that was Spectacular Productions and Spectacular Promotions, a Calypso and entertainment organization that got to places where nobody had tread before. So we're trying to relive some of those glory days, if you like.
You wonder where to start. For instance, I met about a week or so ago, and she said, I remember you. Remember me from where? The Spectacular show. I said, wow, that's interesting. In the carnival, because we don't have this structure anymore. And you recall how the UK complex was on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
You know, full house, and children really having a ball, singing every calypso that comes along. And that gave you a particular feeling. It meant that you were doing the job right, because you were ready. That was one of the really big ones. You know, you remember see children for David Runner and Marcel and they to the dressing room to get autographs. And you know, it was really a pleasure seeing your children getting the touch and with their own style. Not boring, just because. Another interesting thing about that is that we took on the challenge of mixing moves, because the calypso didn't have too much energy songs. And we thought we can find it there. We introduced more than the normal songs of, I could call them, party songs, as some people term them. And very well, very, very well. And a lot of young people and we next year to go to these islands before. I think one of the big highlights of Spec that a lot of people would remember would have been 86, it was a very exciting year. We introduced to the stage Marshall Montano, and we took a beating for that. The journalists went to town. Some of the other Calypso tent managers felt that we should be into the tent. We felt differently. We felt that this was a featured house. And we took the licks. We took the licks. I remember a particular lady who every week she would write a little column saying that Marshall should be in school and Marshall should be in a Calypso tent. But she didn't understand that Monday to Friday Marshall was in school. And it was only on a weekend that he was at the Calypso tent. And talking with his mother yesterday, lady, we had a good laugh with You know, the licks we take 40 years ago, today, we are preparing for one of the biggest concerts ever as Marshall celebrates his 40th year in the business. You know, and we really get plenty licks for that. We get licks from senior Calypsonians, everybody. In that same year, 86, was David Redder's introduction as a solo artist in the Calypso 10. More licks, but we took the blows and we smiled. David Redder went on to win the Young King, the Road March, the Calypso Monarch, and his song was the song played, the winning song played for the Panorama. You see, things like these people need to reflect on and see what's the excitement we're missing in this life right now. You know, that was also the year when only one other Calypsonian made it from Skinner Park to the finals in the Savannah. Spec made a clean sweep that year. Clean sweep. You know, I don't remember, was it, I think it was somebody was defending the crown, and then one person was selected from Skinner Park that wasn't a spectacular artist. So that was really a big, exciting year for us, and the controversies that went with it. Because, you know, that was the year that you had some really big songs. One of them that comes to mind, it was the year that Gypsy did his Sinking Ship, you know, and that was a song that was drawing anchors as it went along. So we've also took the opportunity to mix the young with the not so young, you know, in Battle of the Sexes. Whilst it looked a male-female combination, it was really a powerful way of bringing the younger artists into the mix, mixing them up, you know. So you got some young females coming in there on the Battle of the Sexes. Some of them still rising high today, and you also had some of the very young men coming in there. So Battle of the Sexes was built really for the young people, more or less, and very competitive women folk, you know. So again, that was one of the things that you know, we highlighted a lot of women. People, I don't think in discussions with some men, I smile because they don't remember these things. We had MCs like Rachel Price, Nikki Crosby, Anna Haddad. I'm forgetting either one or two people here, forgive me. But that's the kind of energy that came out of Spectacular. Then there was talk about Spec not having enough women. It wasn't about having enough women, it was about having songs that fitted into a particular program. You know, so saying that we didn't have enough women was not true, because every year Spectacular featured women. In a discussion quite just recently, the question came up whether Cara Jacobs sang with us, and when we dig up in the files, we see yes, she was there at Spectacular, and Marie Innes. You know, so the blows that we took for not having sufficient women. Michelle Sylvester, who won a Calypso Queen, you know. So in the period of time that Spec was around, Spec did a lot of work. Today we look back and we see a lot of the artists still around, still doing a very good job, you know. And I remember Marshall telling me in a conversation, you know, Spec opened the doors for him in Barbados. We did Barbados for 25 years. After Carnival, every year, we would take a group of Calypsonians up to Barbados for a very special show. And a lot of artists came out of that, you know, turned into big Caribbean artists from those shows. So Spec did a lot of work, and Spec is also back in this Carnival with the Calypso Spectacular, which this will be what, 41 years. Yeah. 41 years is a long time, 4 decades.
Now, what was the date for
And
that?
This year's, excuse me, this year's Calypso Spectacular is going to be very exciting. When you look at the cast, it's a mixture again. It's almost like a battle of the sexes because it's a mixture young and old, or not so young and not so young.
Yeah, what was the date for that?
We have some really hot ones in there, you know, and there's a lot for people to get out of this. Spec is going to be in San Fernando, in Tonapuna, and in Port of Spain, one night each. So once again, that energy and that excitement is going to be out there.
What are the dates for that?
Andy?
What are the dates for that, for those 3 shows? Yes, I'm trying to find out what are the dates for those 3 shows.
What's the date?
The dates.
I don't have the dates with me now, unfortunately. But one is going to be at Sapa. One is going to be at the Center of Excellence in Tonapuna.
Yes.
And the other one is going to be at Napa. You know?
So the first show will be in San Fernando.
Sorry?
The first show will be at Sapa in San Fernando.
Yeah, from Sapa to Center of Excellence, from Center of Excellence to Napa.
Yeah. I think we may have talked about this before, but what were the dynamics that would have led to the scaling back of the presentations and the productions of spectacular promotions?
If I follow that question correctly, what were you asking? What were the secrets of the success?
No. What were the forces that led to the fact that these things didn't continue in the way that maybe some people thought it would have, the promotions and the productions of the spectacular organization?
Spectacular was born of bringing foreign artists to Trinidad. And then I think it was 1982 or 84 that Spec brought Kool and the Gang here and decided to take the chance and put some Calypsonians inside of there and realized that this was an important vehicle to use to push the Calypso because people wanted to see these foreign acts and at the same time they got to see the local acts. And interestingly enough, when we went out on that limb, because people felt that wouldn't work, when we went out on that limb, something very interesting happened. At intermission, some people left. When we asked, well, why are we leaving? They said, well, I didn't get my money good already. You know, so they didn't wait to see Kool and the Gang because they had gotten, I think it was Explainer, Chokers, Nelson, and Super Blue Boy. Yeah. And that was our opening. We say, okay, good. The Calypso has to be, whatever we're doing, we're going to make sure we slip some Calypso into it. And it has benefited the art form. And we thank God for that. Did that answer your question?
More or less. So I think you said, what do we look forward to this year? And that will have to be the next couple of weeks and so on. What are we looking forward to? Who are we looking to see?
Looking to see people. If I should start with the younger ones first, you're looking to see people like Rome and the leader Dan Man. Everybody loves Raymond.
Yes.
You're looking to see
Raymond Ramnarine.
Patrice. You're looking to see some of the seasoned performers like Nelson and Scrunter and Poser. So it's going to be a beautiful mix. It's a well put together Baron, it's a well put together mix of the favorites that people love from back then and some of the things that are happening today. So you get to kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. You think Nelson is in that cast? You said? Yeah, you said Nelson is among this cast?
But you also have Chalk Dust, the man who holds 9 Calypso Monarch titles. He leads the way as far as Calypso Monarchs are concerned. You have Crazy Insider there. And I think that's one of the exciting things is going to be seeing Crazy doing Marshall's hit of 1986, sorry. Crazy has remade that song and he's now doing, they say, at too old to soca.
Yes. And then the original was, people say, are too young to soca.
Yeah. I think he put a nice twist in. I think he really worked out the lyrics well and he tells the story well. So and then you have the hot people like Patrice and Nadia Batson. It's a well thought out mix, and I know people are limiting their movements, but this is one of the nights they could come out and sleep of the Calypso thing and pull back if they want to. Because I think people have a little concerns about coming out. We have chosen venues that we think would be very safe because we're gonna be using as much security as possible. So people could come out, have a time, and get back home.
Yeah, and just to go over the venues again. So the first show is in San Fernando at Sapa. The second one is in Tunapuna, and the third one is in Port of Spain.
Yeah, Port of Spain, sorry, yes. So it's Napa, it's Center of Excellence, and it's San Fernando.
Yeah.
A really beautiful mix covering the country.
You're keeping your fingers crossed that we won't have to be sent back to wearing masks and so on, and all the protocols about washing your hands before you enter. And well, if we get back to the thing about social distancing, that would be kind of like a damper, right?
It would be, and one honestly prays that we don't reach to that because I think we deserve a little freedom. Not going overboard, but I think we need to free up a little bit because the 2.5 years have been quite tense for a lot of people, financially, physically, So a little show here and there, a little party here and there will be important for us to have at this point in time. So one really hope and pray that we don't have to go back to that situation.
Yeah, I mean,
things don't get that bad.
It will act on a lot of us mentally and psychologically and so on, because people are looking for this opportunity to exhale after 2 years of no carnival per se, and they come to have to go back to where we were a year ago, and so it will be troubling.
And you have some people who are telling you straight up that all I want is 1 or 2 good shows and I'm all right,
Yeah.
And they're not asking for much. So if they can't get that, therein we have people locking up again, mentally, physically, So we pray God that this one really goes well for us.
All right, my friend. It's always good talking with you. So we're going to look forward to those productions and those presentations.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Andy.
Always welcome. Lennox Toussaint, one of the minds behind this organization's spectacular productions and spectacular promotions. We will take a break as we head up to news time at the top of the hour. On the other side of that, more entertainment. Curleen Curls Joseph We'll tell you who she is and why we're talking with her. Stay with us.
At Belgroves, celebrating life is our commitment with integrity, compassion, and dignity for your loved ones. Belgroves Funeral Home and Crematorium, serving Trinidad and Tobago for over a century.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I am Denise Martin. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister says no new restrictions as COVID cases rise. Increasing COVID hospitalizations since December. Opposition says government's COVID-19 response remains poor. And internationally, U.S. cancer death rate falls 33% since 1991. Now for the details. There will be no disruptions in Carnival 2023. The assurance from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley as he addressed the fact that COVID-19 cases have begun rising once again just 6 weeks before Carnival. The Prime Minister hosted a conference on Thursday afternoon along with members from the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 response team.
Because of the milder nature, because of the higher level of immunity, we can expect to live with that curve without too much disruption except in the personal behavior. We're not disrupting the economy, we're not disrupting the border, we are living with COVID, expecting that a slight rise in the level of the population, the level of infection and a variant that is not as virulent. And because we have so many people who have carrying some immunity, we will proceed to live with COVID.
The Prime Minister said there will be no change to the mask mandate, which is currently voluntary in most places.
The wearing of masks, especially when you are going to be in close quarters with people, it is helpful, but we still leave that as a voluntary action. But you know, in the personal responsibility that you will take.
There is also no consideration for a work-from-home policy at this time.
Management and the public service can justify what is being done. We would not discourage it. And of course the private sector is free to do as much as they can.
Meanwhile, the Principal Medical Officer, Dr. Miriam Abdul-Richards, said that COVID cases within the hospitals have been on a steady increase since December.
There has been an increased demand for hospital care and hospital beds over the last month. And this really coincides with that increase in cases. Specifically, we have noted that increase from December the 8th, and it has been consistent on a daily basis. So for just over 1 month now, there has been an increased demand for care.
Presently, 71 patients are being treated in the public health institutions for COVID-19. 5 of these patients require ICU care, and 2 of the 71 patients are pediatric cases. Dr. Abdul-Richards said 90% of COVID-19 patients at hospital have significant comorbidities and are not fully vaccinated. There are no patients at step-down facilities at this time. All patients are being treated at the public health institutions. Well, in immediate response, the opposition held a conference to counter the Prime Minister's statement on the new wave of COVID-19.
Nothing Prime Minister Rowley says at this present time concerning the very serious local, regional, and global COVID-19 threat we once again face can be taken seriously. This is the same failed incompetent team who managed for 3 years, or mismanaged, which advised unconstitutional closure of our borders, causing thousands of citizens to be stateless and homeless. I want the population to remember that this is the same Prime Minister Rowley and his team who caused thousands of citizens to be stateless and homeless.
In international developments now, the rate of people dying from cancer in the United States has continuously declined over the past 3 decades, according to a new report from the American Cancer Society. The U.S. cancer death rate has fallen 33% since 1991, which corresponds to an estimated 3.8 million deaths averted, according to the report published Thursday in Cancer Journal for Clinicians. The rate of lives lost to cancer continued to shrink in the most recent year, for which data is available between 2019 and 2020 by 1.5%. Well, that was your news to the hour on WESN. I am Denise Martin. Thanks for watching.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Come closer,
Well, the music and the production there of a lady named Colleen Joseph. She's known more in the entertainment world as Curls. Let's tell you a little bit about her. She's the eldest of 2 siblings. She was born and raised in a place called Plaisance Park. For those of you who don't know the countries, it's coming north from Pointe-à-Pierre. Before you get to the other community just after that, you get to coming up to Chaguanas and so on. But it's down in that part of the country. She went to St. Madeleine Secondary School, where she showcased her musical skills, taking part in school competitions and more. She was very active in the church, singing in the choir and also at various competitions. There's lots more we could talk about from this profile here. We'll get to that as we continue to talk with her. She's in the studio with us now. Colleen Joseph, Curls. Good to see you.
Good to be here as well too. Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. And you say you're coming here almost directly, give or take a couple hours from our rehearsal.
From rehearsal back to South and to stay up to come up here.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you. I just want to ask, how would you respond if I said that, well, first of all, it's for me, a very exquisite voice, and what I see there is a good production. It sounds like there is some, what they call now the Afro pop beat in it. That's correct?
Yes, correct. I love Afro music, and I believe that Afro music is it's not too far from soca. So this choice was basically to show the fusion of soca and Afro, and yeah, that was the first production of Afro soca for me.
For you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're performing any particular place with any group of people, or you're on your own doing this? Yeah.
Well, I'm with the A-Team band.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of shows for the carnival season as well. Recently, I performed the Sim Come Closer in St. Croix. We went and flew the flag there as well.
Yeah, so recently, like in the last couple of weeks?
Saturday.
Yeah?
No, Friday, sorry.
Yeah.
Friday.
Last
week Friday.
Okay.
We performed for St. Croix Music Festival as well. And I performed this song in particular, and it was very well received. The vibes was really nice as well too. So we also have a lot of performances as well coming up in these coming weeks. Army Fets, Gateway, well, the band is with Soca with her as well.
Yeah.
There's quite a few, I can't remember all, but we have a lot coming up right now.
Yeah. How does one move from singing in the church choir to be doing this kind of stuff?
Well, the transition wasn't very weird, because my mom is a calypsonian as well. So
what's her name?
Lady Adana.
Lady Adana is your mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So it wasn't too far. It wasn't too far. And then my grandfather, he's deceased now. He always used to play music. So I grew up.
So music is in your blood. Music and performance
is
in your blood.
Yeah.
So it wasn't difficult.
The transition wasn't a very. I mean, I know a lot of singers come from singing in church. Yeah. So it wasn't. At least the story isn't weird. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a big thing. And I was asking you while we were looking at it, how long it took to do that production. I had in mind days and different takes and so on. But you said, so I suppose the rehearsals took some time, but the actual production was a couple hours.
Actually, this was very spontaneous. The video. We just decided to do a video, and we said, okay, we're coming on Monday the 25th of July 2022, and that is when we basically said, Curls, we have to, they said, Curls, we have to execute this in a couple hours, because of the mere fact that the song was released already, and we needed a visual for it, and yeah, we made it happen in a couple hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like now your schedule is pretty crowded.
Yeah, it is. Basically preparing myself physically, vocally, and mentally for the season ahead. Yeah.
What does that entail? What is that? How do you, yeah.
Well, a lot of people would say it should be rest, but we don't get rest. We basically get power naps.
Power naps,
yeah. And I try to drink a lot of water. What else? A lot of rehearsal as well, to preparation as well for the shows coming up. A lot of preparation.
What goes into sort of taking care of and protecting and guarding your voice and so on? What goes in there?
Well, again, minus the rest. I know rest is a very big factor for vocals, but I try to drink a lot of herbal tea with honey. I don't drink anything cold, no alcohol, nothing of the sort. Just warm stuff, keep my voice warm. And that's basically it. And vocal warm-ups as well.
Vocals warm-ups.
Yeah, we always do some warm-ups before. Because if you don't do the warm-ups before and time to go on stage, you tend to
So
crack up and
you're
stuff.
exercising the pipes and so on.
Correct, yeah, yeah. That's an AEIOUs and, you know, the regular stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I see one production was done with an organization called the X6 Rhythm and another with the Maracas Rhythm. Talk about these different kinds of rhythms.
Well, the X6 Rhythm, that was my first release, my first introduction into the soca industry. That was produced by Val Music Production and written by Buffy. And yeah, that was my first song ever. And well, Maracas Rhythm, that is like, it was a different feel of soca. It was like more of soca mixed with a bit of dancehall. And that one and all was well received as well.
Yeah, but what distinguishes one rhythm from the other?
I guess in the elements in the music, the sound, the vibe as well, because each rhythm has a vibe. And yeah, that I could safely say that is the thing there.
Yeah. And in the X6 rhythm, working alongside people like Bunji Garlin and Devon Matthews and Ziggy Rankin and so on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ziggy was the person who introduced me to the soca industry, so it wasn't too weird working with them. Devon Matthews, he was a very strong part as well too. He played a very strong part. He made sure that the songs were played on air, on radio. And anywhere we had performances, they would pull me in and say, girls, come and perform your song as well too. So it was like a team effort.
But what's it like getting your music aired? But you said that Devon Matthews looked after that in the beginning. Yeah.
What it's like for somebody who is like, who was new.
Just emerging.
Well, yeah, it is refreshing. It's exciting as well too to hear your song played on radio. And people calling in and liking the song as well too, because he used to ask people to send messages or call and say what are their views of the song, and the reception was very well received as well. So it's I can't even find the words to explain it properly, but it's exciting. Yeah.
Is it as exciting to be working alongside some of these big names? You're talking about Bunji, you're talking about Irfan Alves, you're talking about Nadia Braxton.
Yeah. Well, Nadia wrote Drip, which was one of my biggest songs so far. And I did a collaboration with Irfan Alves. Irfan Alves is a remarkable artist. And we were in studio, and when we started recording, it was just vibes. His energy he rolled over to me, and you know, me being the newbie, I was able to embrace that energy and execute the vocals in the booth. So
there's no sort of what's the term I'm trying to find? But working with some of these established guys, these you know, I know these fellas have all kinds of machismo about them, and you know, that's not difficult.
No.
How they treat with young talent coming in, and so you want to associate with them.
Yeah, and then there are some who are welcoming, and the energy, the conversations and stuff like that is, you know, it makes you feel comfortable enough to do music with them and rehearse with them and stuff like that as well.
And some, as you say, probably not as welcoming. But
that's human nature. Well, yeah, I mean, everybody has their different personality as well too. So, but the ones who are cool, well, yeah.
How circumspect you might be, given yesterday we had this press conference about the possible re-emergence of this thing, and how does that make you feel in terms of whether or not, you know, the action is going to be curtailed?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I'm feeling very worried because we took a big hit. The entertainment industry took a very big hit with this whole COVID situation.
Over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and to hear that it has risen again, and around the same time, and that carnival is right there, we are a bit worried and hopeful that it doesn't escalate to, you know, for us to get a repeat of when COVID-19 first started. I really hope it doesn't reach to that. Yeah.
And it says here you began this, you know, this journey at the tender age of 9. So that's when you started to sing in Sunday school and things like that.
Yeah. I remembered my mom was at a concert singing, and I was in the crowd. I was sitting with my grandparents, and I really wasn't feeling like I belonged in the crowd. So I slipped away from my grandparents and walked up on the stage. and held my mom's hand, and I did not want to move until the performance was finished. And she said at that point, she realized that I was made for the stage.
Yeah, so they saw it early.
Yeah, she saw it early. She's like, and as much as she tried to steer me away from music, it just came right back.
What might have been her fears and concerns?
I mean, the industry is a very tough one, and if your skin isn't thick, you could easily break. So she was really trying to shield me from having to experience anything like that. But I am my mother's child, and I am my mother's child. So I came in with a force, and I will continue to move on with that force.
Yeah. She wanted to spare you from some of the challenges that you had to face and the roughness in the industry itself.
Exactly. But
as you say,
my skin tough. My skin is tough. So
you had some of her qualities from deep down.
That's right. Yeah.
So at a point, she just surrendered and said, well, okay.
She's like, yeah, okay, you go ahead. You do your thing. And she's been very proud of me as well, too. Yeah.
Well, what's your take on where we are as people in what is called now the creatives and so on? How do you compare us with people in the other places you go to? You perform in different venues outside of Trinidad and so on.
How could I say this? It shows the diversity in the music, for sure. Because, like, for example, Tortola. When you listen to our music is melodious and you know, active and, you know, but when you listen to music from Tortola, it's just this one beat, you know, and their music is totally different. But when you watch how they embrace their music, is like, you try to understand because it sounds so different. But then when we go on stage now and we perform our soca now, it's like the same thing, but a bit more
different.
Yeah. So even though it's different culture, different music, the effect is still the same. Basically.
It's some of these other Caribbean cultures, they have a kind of what I call a kind of jumbie beat.
Yeah, exactly. You can't help but, you know, just keep bouncing. So, but the effect of the music itself, anywhere, any country, is always the same.
Like in Grenada, you know, they
have Grenada is different. I find Grenadian music on the whole, especially their power. I am yet to touch Grenada soil to experience their juvie and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I was going to ask whether you've been able. So you're looking forward to.
I mean, I saw some videos of people holding snakes and stuff like that. But I really want to experience it because I was told that once you experience Grenada Carnival and Grenada Juvie, it's a different vibe compared to all the other carnivals.
It is. And one of the things about the carnival, the way how the island is. So you have to come down into St. George's. And when you get down there, there's nowhere else to go. So everybody's just jammed down the back.
That sounds like vibes, though. That really sounds like vibes.
Talk about performing with being a member of the A-Team band. What's this thing?
Being a member of the A-Team band, well, I've been there from the beginning, and I'm glad to know that I'm still there, going strong. Being there with the guys, they help groom me, right? We in rehearsal, even though we get buffed a lot or criticized and stuff, it's all for a good cause. It helps make you stronger, make you a powerful performer, frontliner. So that experience in itself is a dime a dozen, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, when you say you get buffed, you may make a wrong step or the note is not what they want.
Yeah, we might learn lyrics and come unprepared and stuff like that. I mean, everybody has stuff taking place apart from the band life. So sometimes if it is we don't have the lyrics on point, girls, you need to be ready, this kind of thing. And we get buffed, but I look for that. So.
But you see it for what it is, and it's not a case of some fellas or people generally more established ones just wanting to...
No. It's all part of the grooming process, basically. All part of the grooming process. Everybody there gets both, and it's all to make you perform your best in your capacity, basically.
And there's a sorority among the sisters in the thing, so that sometimes you all hang with one another.
Because at first I was the only female. But now we have another female there, Desiree.
That's in the band.
But she does the PR and the marketing and stuff like that as well. So it was quite refreshing to have another female there. When we go to shows, if I have a wardrobe issue, another female could fix my clothes or help adjust clothes or whatever the case is. But before, it was the guys. Like, hey, you just fix this strap for me, please, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, we are, you know, family oriented like that, so it isn't weird.
Yeah.
It isn't weird again.
And what's it like, say, hanging out with, or being probably on the same show, or on the same stage with the Nylas and the Nadias
it's really nice being in the same venue with some of the most dominating female artists in the Caribbean, and we feed a lot off of their energy as well too. Nadia's a darling. Patrice's vocals are insane. So having her being part of the band, well, working with the band and among other artists as well too, we, you know, talk and build connections as well.
All right. So the 18 bands, so like, where would you be performing the next couple of days? And if I want to go to
next week on the 20th, we will be in Tobago. For a country show. I think it's country, soca, something like that.
Yeah.
After that, I think this Saturday is Gateway. And I can't remember the rest of it.
Yeah, but there is a, it's a long program.
Yeah, we have quite a few performances as well. Yeah.
All right, I think there's something else that is there that we want to take a look at. So if they could... all right, so we will take a break and come back in a moment. Stay with us.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokaram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered.
The conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN, Content Capital.
Performer on the rise in Trinidad and Tobago. She's been our guest. Jenny, you have any closing comments you want to make? Anybody you want to say, shout out to?
Yeah, of course. Well, being a female in the industry, we have to have, you know, people on this side to make sure you look good. And you know, so I must shout out Epic Clothing. They always supply me with clothing for shows as well. KBA Beauty Extensions, Melanin Sisters here, Dynasty, Nicole for my nails. because a girl can't go out there looking basic.
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole A-team band, I mean, we are putting in the work, and we are like salt too, you know, for the season. If you don't have A-team, then your event, nah. So you need to have A-team.
Okay, if you don't have A-team, you might as well boil an egg.
Yeah, boil an egg. You know, you don't peel with no flavor. Come on.
Good to see you. Good talking to you. And so on. All the best for the season and the ones to come. Well, that will do it for us in this edition of the program. We thank you for watching. We thank all our guests. We tell you can stay in touch with us here at AM Prime at WESNCC. Check us out on all our social media platforms and send your emails to amprime@wesncc.com. News at the top of the hour, followed by today's edition of Talking Point with Shah and Small. But for now, thanks for watching. I'm Andy Johnson. We'll see you tomorrow.
Low frequency, time is money, so we can